Hi, Steve Harrison here. When I met Mandy Bass at one of my seminars, I was really impressed with what she'd achieved as an entrepreneur and as a success coach. And Mandy's actually really good at something that I believe in very strongly, which is building your business through speaking, even free speaking engagements. Well, as Mandy and I got to know each other, I said, hey, let me do an interview with you because you've got a lot of great stuff to share. So I'm going to give you a peek now at that interview. Well, Mandy, welcome.
Hi, Steve. Thanks for having me.
You know, I want to talk to you about some of your ideas for monetizing one's expertise. Obviously, that's something you and I share in common. We love helping people do that. What do you think, Mandy, are some of the biggest mistakes that you see experts make when it comes to monetizing their expertise?
So the biggest thing I see is that people don't think strategically enough in terms of their entire business model. And so a lot of the time what they're doing is they're out there promoting their book, and then they don't have enough other things to do that are really going to make that successful for them in terms of financially. And it's fine if you're independently wealthy, but if you're looking to use your business to grow financially, you need to have a funnel that has other products and services that you can be offering.
Yeah. And so what do you feel people can do to be more strategic when it comes to speaking opportunities?
Good question. So it's really important. Sometimes people show up and they'll just have a good talk. And if you want your talk to actually monetize for you, it needs to lead somewhere.
Yeah.
So, we always start when we're doing any kind of business planning, we always say, start with the end in mind, right? And so when it comes to speaking, you've also got to apply that same strategy. And then you also have to think about how can you influence not just the talk, but what can you do before, during, and after the event to influence the results, to drive attendance, that kind of a thing.
Now, one of the things I believe that you teach also is that maybe if you're a guest speaker at an event, do you teach the idea that maybe you should do some things to help drive attendance to that event?
Absolutely. I mean, if you think about the fact that, firstly, just from pure numbers, if you're going to close just a percentage of those people, the more the audience, the bigger the audience, the bigger the percentage of people that are going to want to do business with you. But it's even more important than that. One of the things that I like to do is drive attendance to every single event so that when I'm speaking somewhere, that meeting planner says, wow, every time we have Mandy Bass here, we have such a high attendance. Usually we only have 50 people, and when she comes, there's 75. And so then when they refer you to other places, now you're known for, wow, you're really popular. So it's really a good thing to do in a whole lot of different ways.
Oh, yeah, totally makes sense. Mandy, you said earlier there are some things to do before, during, and after a talk. Can you give us some examples?
Okay, so one of the things I like to do before an event is link with board members and other people on social media. I like to use LinkedIn because LinkedIn you can typically find, it's a little bit different, it's easier to find and connect with people. And I also like to connect with the people that belong to the organization and get them excited about what's happening, get them excited so that they're going to come. I encourage them to bring their friends. During the event, of course, there's a lot of things you can do to close more business, but you also need to use it as a networking opportunity to network with the people there. And then after the event, I like to do a lot of things after the event to not only get the people that were there, but to get all the other members that didn't show up and invite them to let them know what they missed. So there's so much you can do.
That's good stuff, yeah. And if one thing that I'll hear from people sometimes is they'll say, look, I'm doing a lot of free talks, but it doesn't convert into anything tangible. What do you say to that?
Well, most of the cases, now everybody's going to have some situations where a talk just bombs, it's the wrong audience, or, one of those things. But for the most part, when I go do a talk, I mean, I'm typically looking, my average talk is going to net me probably in terms of lifetime value from that, at least between 30 and 50,000. I've had some talks that have given me 200, 300,000. One talk I did to 12 people gave me I think we're over $1 million in consulting fees, and not net.
Over time.
Over time.
Right, but the lifetime values are great.
Yeah. So I think it's important to look at what that opportunity really is like. And then because once you understand what the opportunity is, then to look at that strategically. Most of the people that I speak to who say that to me, Steve, typically their preparation for this event is the talk.
Yeah.
They haven't really thought about, now sometimes you've got to look at who is your target market, what is the message that you're giving, are you addressing their needs, are you giving them a takeaway, how are you getting those people onto your list, and then what are you doing to take them up your value ladder? What's the next step and the next step and the next step? So typically when I hear that, it's really a lack of strategy more than it is a reality.
Yeah, good point. I totally agree. So then where do you stand on the paid versus free speaking opportunity debate? People say, well, should I speak for free or should I really pursue the paid speaking?
There was an article in Forbes magazine last year that said that more than 95% of speakers make less than $10,000 per gig. Now, $10,000 per gig to someone who's never done speaking sounds like a lot of money, but paid speaking, there's a lot more to it. There's a lot of time. I mean, there's a lot that goes into actually getting the gigs. So for me, guest speaking is a lot more lucrative than paid speaking, but I do both. And I would suggest that people, when they're building out their platform, have room for both, because you want to be able to get out there. Obviously, guest speaking opportunities are local. You can develop you can use it for a lot of different things, and you can use it to build your business. Paid speaking is a lot more competitive. You're typically traveling somewhere, and it's, in my experience, and this is not going to be every single time, but typically you don't have as much opportunity to promote your products and services and continue a relationship with those people like you do when it comes to a local organization or a regional association.
And share a little bit about some of the successes you've had with Free Talks.
Okay. So as I mentioned to you, I've had one group of 12 people has brought me in over $1 million of business, not net, but gross business, because I do a lot of work in healthcare, and so I used to do very small seminars with 5 to 10, sometimes 15 physicians who had their own practices. And so that would give me a huge way to be able to get in front of those people, show them my expertise, and be able to forever build relationships. That really, those kinds of things are really hard to do. When you're in front of the audience, one of the things that you have the ability to do, if you do it quickly, is within a day or two, if you connect with each of those people by phone that attended your event, they're going to take your call. And so if you want someone to take your call, appear in front of them at a meeting, speak in front of them, and they will be taking your call the next day. So I think there's a lot of successes. Another thing I use speaking opportunities for is to close corporate clients. So if I have a client who's on the fence, I'm struggling to close them, and then I book a meeting that's convenient for them to attend. Typically, after they see me speak in front of the room, you have all that social proof, you have all the authority, everything's going on. That CEO will typically, after they've seen me speak, will sign that contract. So it's something that I use, and even if they can't come or they're unable to attend for whatever reason, just knowing that I was there.
Yes. I've often seen too, and I'm sure you teach this as well. So just having your name in the brochure that you're speaking, it positions you, and letting your clients know, as you say, that hey, I'm speaking here. Come on in. Come attend this event. So where can people find the free speaking? You said guest speaking gigs. Where can they find these places to speak and get in front of people?
Okay, so at freespeakerbureau.com, that's one of the things we do is our focus is really on helping people get guest speaking opportunities. Sometimes paid gigs come through, but that's not really our focus. And so we go out and we publish probably a couple thousand speaking opportunities every year. We put them up on the calendar and we just direct people. We're not making a commission from it. We're not hooking that. We're just providing the information so people know where they can go, what the associations are that they can connect with, when their deadlines are, who to contact, where the applications are, and so forth. So they can get that on our website.
And so when it comes to actually the presentation itself and what to say and do, what are the most important elements?
For me, I think that the opening and closing are the two most important things. I always try to get my speakers to work on the opening and closing before they do the body of the talk. They kind of come up with a structure and where are we leading and what's going to be in it. But typically what I find is that people are very process-oriented when it comes to speaking, and they'll start rehearsing from the beginning, and then they keep on going to the beginning again. Yep. And then by the time the talk comes, they haven't really done a good close. And so you have to make sure that you have a great call to action, in that close. And so I make my speakers rehearse that right after they do the opening before we ever get to the body of the talk.
Yeah. Oh, so important. That's any other quick tips you could share with folks?
Yeah, I think a couple things that I think are totally underused. One is the evaluation form. So you should use an evaluation form to be able to collect people's information, but also you need to collect the interests that they have. Because on your evaluation form, you can turn one speaking gig into multiple by simply asking people a simple question, which is, do you have another organization that would benefit from hearing Mandy or Steve or whomever speak? And then you just have a little blank space for them to fill in the name of the organization. You don't ask them for any other information because they probably don't have it with them. And you use it as an opportunity to contact them the next day and say, you said I should talk here, but, could you give me the name of the person? Could you make an email introduction, and so on? The other thing that I encourage people to do is there are a lot of texting possibilities now. Most people have their cell phones when they're listening to an event. And there's a lot of opportunity where you can get text, 5334, and they send that information in, and then you automatically have an autoresponder that takes them to your evaluation form, and it makes them much more likely to fill that in and for you to collect the information from a lot more people in that event.
Yeah, that's a really smart way to capture email addresses ultimately and whatnot. So where can people get more information about you and the service that you have? Okay,
well, there's two places. You can go to get a little bit more information about me, you can go to mandybass.com. And to get more information about the speaking opportunities and how to, put a profile on the speaking site, you can go to freespeakerbureau.com.
Great. Well, listen, great to have you as always.
Thanks,
this was fantastic.
Steve. Thank you very much.